Hi guys! In today's episode, I talked to a Denver-based illustrator known as SincerelyJaded, or also Jade, and I asked her about her practice and what inspires her, and what kind of advice she'd have for somebody who wants to become an illustrator. It was awesome having Jade on this episode, and I hope you enjoy it. So the first question I wanted to ask was, can you describe the art that you make and the materials that you use?
So the art I make, I of course love to have it all about wildlife. I try to promote more wildlife conservation through my art. I also like to add a bit more of my darker side into my paintings, which I don't know, it was something I recently started doing as of last fall, and it's just been it's just been a part of my style ever since. So I love the pretty nature, pretty flowers, pretty leaves, scenery, whatever. But I love adding that darker twist on it. So that's why that sort of became part of my style. So that's the kind of art I make. I focus mostly on using watercolors. I enjoy using acrylic a lot, but watercolors, I don't know, they just clicked with me. I can get the effects I want with them more than any other paint, of course, so I just stick with them. I love using Copic multi-liner pens for lining. I love adding detail, so I love using fine tipped pens a lot for that. Then I love using gold or bronze, silver acrylic ink just to add accents to my paintings. That's always just been a thing of mine.
So where do you think that you get your inspiration from?
Where do I get my inspiration from? Well, my inspiration, it comes from just growing up in in wildlife. I'm from a really small town, southwest Colorado here, and I grew up in the mountains. That's just where I was. I always was hanging around nature. My grandpa was a total wildlife, conservative. He did art as well. He actually did a lot of sketches for the newspaper, the Durango Herald, down in my town. So and it was all wildlife sketches, and so I kind of followed in his sort of path. Him and I both we just love nature, so that's just what we ended up just painting and drawing and things like that.
What are your favorite things to paint?
I love painting deer, or I love painting bears. I love just woodland wildlife. Of course I love everything, but I guess I have a bit more of a connection with the animals you'd find, like I said, in the woods. I just always gravitate towards wanting to paint something like that, like I said, like a deer or a bear, moose, elk, anything like that, anything.
Did you go to any kind of art school?
I actually did for 3 years. I went to the Art Institute, and I actually was going there to be a conceptual artist for video games. I really, really wanted to design characters and creatures, and this was back when I was actually drawing a lot of people. I stopped doing that as much, but I stopped doing animals for a little bit and wanted to do people and character designs. And so that's what I actually went to school for. I wanted to be a conceptual artist, but it just turned out it wasn't really my thing. I didn't really want to work for a big company or work for somebody else, so it just kind of fell through on that one. They didn't really end up teaching me what I wanted to learn anyway. I didn't really want to learn the practicalities and the marketing and all that jazz of I just wanted to create. I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to create art, So I just wasn't as interested in that as I thought I was going to be.
So would you ever create illustrations digitally, or like do you prefer to use like more traditional methods?
I do create digital art. I don't post it or share it as often, but I do create logos. Some of my art is I'll edit it in Photoshop, things like that. But it's just it's not as satisfying to me as traditional art. I don't know. I can create things I enjoy on the computer, like I can, but it's just not the same as when I'm holding a paintbrush and like actually like creating the paint strokes myself, if that makes sense. It's not that I'm against digital art. I do love digital art. It takes a lot of skill for digital art. There's so much to learn, and I'm still learning with it. But it's not something I just prefer, is all. So no hating on digital art. I love it, but traditional art, it's just where it's at. It's just where it's at.
So what would you like to create more of?
I would like to create more paintings based around current environmental issues or just current issues with wildlife in general. There's so many things that go on, and I just, I want to paint so many different things, but I'm still searching, I'm still testing out my style a little bit, so I'm kind of testing the waters, here and there with what I'm painting. So, I mean, eventually I do want to start focusing my art on different issues going on in the world as of right now that has to do with wildlife and just environmental things. I want to create more work for donating. I want to donate paintings and help raise money for nonprofit organizations starting at least here in Colorado for wildlife conservation. These are plans that I'm slowly working towards. It is, still building on that, on my art style, on what I have anyway. But we'll get there.
What is your favorite thing about being a creative?
Is finding myself through this. I stopped painting or just art at all, like in general. I stopped for like 3-4 years because I just wasn't into it. Like I just didn't care for it anymore. Like, yeah, it was something I was decent at, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do. And like after I figured out what I was really into painting and what I really wanted to strive for in my art, it just kind of took off for me from there, and I just ended up being so happy and like able to be myself a bit more, if that makes sense. Another thing that really makes me happy, or actually the best part of it, I think, is being able to share my art with people. I've never opened up and shared anything that I've created with anybody, especially through Instagram. I'm still kind of a fairly new Instagram user from last fall, and like it's been a really awesome experience being able to share my art with people, like just people who just enjoy it. Like nobody has to buy anything. I just love that people enjoy it. Like it's cool to share what I've created and have people actually like it and love it. I've always just kept everything to myself forever, so I'm glad that I stepped out of my comfort zone, and became a creative and began sharing things with people. It's awesome. It's a great experience.
What advice would you have for somebody who wants to become an illustrator?
Don't give up. That's the one you always hear, but it's just don't give up. Like, you need to take the time to find your art style and what you want to do. You need to take the time to find yourself through this process, and like you're gonna go, with nobody noticing you for a long time, and it sucks, it hurts, it's it's this, it's that, it's whatever, but you just got to be consistent with it. You got to keep pushing. There's millions, billions of artists out there, so you got to keep going. Like, you can't just stop because you feel like nobody's going to notice you. You're going to be noticed, but it just takes a little bit. It just takes a little bit. Just take that time to work on yourself as an artist, which figure out what you want, not what everybody else wants, what you want, so it'll make you a lot happier in the long run.
So how can people find you, like, on social media if they want to, like, check out your work or maybe, like, get a commission off you?
Actually, right now, still just on Instagram. I have my website, SincerelyJadedArt.com, which has all of my products so far anyway. Through my website, I have a tab where I do my commissions. And you can just email me, actually, which makes it way easier. It's sincerelyjadedart@gmail.com. That's where I take my commissions. You can also DM me through Instagram, and I can take your commissions through there as well. On my website, though, through the commissions tab, I do have all the information regarding size, price, the cost of add-ons, anything like that, So it's all there for you.
So I wanted to say, like, thank you for coming onto the podcast and being part of this episode. It's been great, like, learning more about your practice and, like, what inspires you.
Thank you so much. All right, bye.
So once again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I personally really liked being able to connect with Jade on this episode. It's always fun being able to, like, network with other artists who aren't actually in the same country as you, like social media and all that is great. But definitely check Jade's work out on Instagram, SincerelyJaded. If you're following me on Instagram, hop over to, like, my following list, and I'm definitely following Jade's work. I'm a huge fan. But yeah, so you can search on Instagram at SincerelyJaded. And as always, if anybody has any like suggestions of topics you want me to cover on the podcast or people to invite on, you can always message me on Instagram at LeahJane_art. Thanks.